Thank you for joining us today. This is our case study and presentation on the Walt Disney Company. My name is Maverick Kelly.
I'm Kaylee Brogan.
I'm Nina Peach.
And I'm Nikki Dyson.
Here is an overview on what we're going to cover today in our presentation. To start, I'll be giving a background on the case, which includes the question, the problem that is faced, along with major symptoms and causes. After, there will be an analysis to break down the major symptoms and causes, and lastly, an action plan that will assist the company in the future. One of many CEOs at Disney, Robert Iger, did what he thought was best for the company and introduced the acquisition-led growth strategy. This strategy of relying on billion-dollar franchises is not a sustainable game plan if the company wants to continue on a successful journey. This acquisition is not the best Disney has to offer because it led the company to increased conflict across business division and units. Their fans and supporters started recognizing a decrease in originality and creativity. There is also a decrease in new competition and a decrease in Disney's global appearance overall. The difficulties faced by the company can be reduced into four main causes: leadership, creative content, streaming wars, and the international expansion. These four causes will be discussed in greater detail later in the presentation. Now we are left to face the question of what should the Walt Disney Company do moving forward?
Our first criteria we'll be discussing with you today is leadership, and how the differing leadership styles and strategic visions across Disney CEOs has affected Disney Central's strategic plan. When Walt Disney produced his strategic vision to diversify Disney, he did so through synergies across Disney's business lines to work towards one core focus: creative talent. Walt valued cooperation and collaboration along with creativity, unlike his successor, Michael Eisner. Eisner valued creative conflict in producing the best creative content, leaving Disney with a heavy hand. Eisner moved away from Walt's central strategic plan that gave the company its competitive advantage and growth, instead pushing synergies through cross-selling and extreme focus on branding. Disney's last CEO, Bob Iger, implemented his strategic vision of acquisition-led growth through billion-dollar franchises. Both Eisner and Iger failed to consider creativity, stripping the company of its magic, taking away their reputation for creativity and originality, and creating increased conflicts across business divisions and units. These issues will continue unless Disney is able to provide their new CEO, Bob Chapek, with a sustainable strategy and an increased focus on creative talent. The second criteria we'll be discussing today is creative content. Fans of Disney feel the company's push for acquisitions and their reliance on a systematic method for success points to a lack of originality and creativity at the company. The Disney Brothers cartoon studio was created with a strong corporate vision and values, focusing on originality, imagination, and creativity to stand out from their competition and maintain growth. This set the foundation for the future of Disney's success. Recently, Disney has lost sight of the company's initial intention, moving away from developing their original creative content and shifting to a more systematic method to success, using their acquisitions to handle the creative content. As the Walt Disney Company focuses on creating billion-dollar franchises through an acquisition-led growth strategy, creativity, the very ideal Disney was founded on, will continue to decrease at an alarming rate. Continuing an acquisition-led growth approach is not a sustainable strategy for Disney going forward, as it de-emphasizes the importance of original creative content development and creative talent, the essence that Disney was established on.
For our third criteria, we will be discussing streaming wars. When people decided to change their preferences from watching cable to online streaming services, Disney needed to make a change with the way they produced entertainment. ESPN is owned by Disney and ended up losing 2 million subscribers to their channel, so they decided to create a streaming service specifically for sports called ESPN+. This allowed the company to gain back their lost subscribers and keep up with the new normal on how to watch television. Disney also launched their own streaming service called Disney Plus, which offers people to watch television shows and movies owned by the Walt Disney Company. Using Disney's acquisition-led growth strategy, they bought the popular streaming service Hulu and came up with a strategic initiative to offer a bundle of Disney Plus, Hulu, and ESPN Plus for the same price as the streaming service of Netflix. However, even with this promotion, Disney is struggling to make a profit on their streaming services. With many known companies creating their own streaming services, it is becoming harder and harder to be at the top of the competition. Every streaming service is targeting the same customer, and there is question as to how many subscriptions the average customer will buy for the entertainment. Disney's acquisition-led growth strategy will continue to increase the difficulties faced by Disney to stand out among new and emerging competition with larger market capitalizations than their traditional competitors. Another disadvantage for Disney is that they rely on their competition Amazon for their cloud services for Disney Plus. This makes Disney continue to struggle to build a subscriber base and reach a profit. For our fourth criteria, we will be discussing international attention. Even though Disney has locations across 6 regions around the globe, they remain dependent on North America for the majority of their revenue. As you can see in this chart, the revenues outside of the United States and Canada have not increased substantially, or if any, over the last 9 years. With increasing competition of parks internationally and the socio-cultural differences, Disney will continue to experience a threat to their attendance and profitability. For example, the French wanted Disneyland Paris to fail and considered the park an American cultural imperialism, which was stated on page 11 of the case. Instead of trying to resolve this issue and relate to the French culture, Disney bought out the investors of the French parent company and made the attraction a subsidiary, putting Disneyland Paris as a low priority. Also, in 2016, Disney thought they were going to have the biggest opportunity for the company when they opened up Shanghai Disney in China. While they incorporated Chinese culture into the park, being a stereotypical American company with a larger US-China trade war going on, it directly affected how they were viewed by the Chinese. Only after being open for 2 years, they were forced to lower their ticket sales in an attempt to boost park attendance. Disney's current acquisition-led growth strategy is pulling away their attention from improving their global presence, and the company is starting to lose their reputation of having successful, original, and creative attractions.
Our group decided on 6 action plan items, both for the short term and the long term. First, for the short term, we talked about reevaluating the company's priorities and its vision for the future. Since there is a new CEO coming in, he needs to focus on his strengths of running an effective operation and bringing Disney back to becoming the company that they were once known for. Second, we said they need to focus on creating original content. Without their original content, they lose all of their fan base, and emphasizing the importance of this content will bring the company back into a competitive state. Third, we talked about hiring creative employees to keep the magic. Since their new CEO isn't known for being a certain creative genius as the previous CEOs, they need to make sure that other executives and employees can make up for that void. Fourth, they need to move into their own cloud service so they're no longer using Amazon's. Fifth, we talked about condensing the streaming service to make Hulu, Disney, and ESPN available all in one. And sixth, we said hire local employees to preserve cultural ideals in places like Shanghai, Paris, and their international parks. Next, I'm going to talk about our long-term action plans that our group came up with. So first, we talked about creating a rule book for power transitions. And this is for people like their new CEO who are kind of blindly coming into the position. And so it would lay out the groundwork for him. Next, we talked about creating innovative visions for future success. And this is just visions for the company to follow so they can focus on creating original and valuable content, or else Disney will lose its competitive advantage. Third, we talked about sticking to the 10 movie a year plan so that they can create blockbuster franchises while mitigating the risk of creating flops in the box office. Next, we talked about 4 out of the 10 of these movies being original Disney movies so that they can keep their originality and keep a leg up on the competition. Fifth, we talked about creating separate branches for foreign parks so that they can keep the culture of each park separate and intertwined with the country it's in. And then sixth, we talked about investing in various technological advances to stay ahead of the game and stay relevant. Thank you all for taking time out of your busy schedules to listen to us present on the Walt Disney Company and the case presented to us. We hope you enjoyed our information and that you have a great rest of your semester.